Hello, Nurturing Leadership listeners. How are we all doing this week? I'm excited to be back for another episode of part of the neuroscience series. I hope, again, I repeat myself at the end of the beginning of every session because I'm hoping, I'm still learning how to figure out doing these podcasts in a completely different way. Really excited by the responses from people enjoying the neuroscience series. I know I go on a little bit. I know I talk a lot. And I know that I come across, I don't know, I'm just getting used to this script writing. It's really, really weird. Just not used to it. But I'm putting it out there in the world, and that's how I'm learning it twice. Teaching other people, talking about it in the week, whilst I see fantastic leadership and great teamwork as I ponder my way through my working week as well. Still here, and I also hear and observe sometimes the other end of it. But yeah, no, it's fascinating as I'm on this learning journey myself. But today's episode, again, I hope you really enjoyed the previous episodes. Last week we looked at motivation and rewards in the workplace and looking at it from that neuroscience angle. But today, that Simon Sinek, one of the gurus that I do follow, has done for about 2 years now. He's been around for a lot longer. He talks about empathy and perspective as the two main factors leaders need to be able to understand and I suppose lead their own way in their own leadership journey. But yes, today I'm going to be looking at empathy and from a neuroscience angle, looking at the mirror neurons and how they affect it. And, empathy being that ability to understand and share feelings, and they are supported by the mirror neurons. Have you ever heard of that? They are in the brain. Leaders who demonstrate empathy really can create, it's obvious, they just create stronger connections and they inspire trust with each of all of their teams. And I hope you all experience that. And if not, just listening to this can help you be more aware of how to navigate your own brain through it. Mirror neurons, just so you know, are specialized brain cells that fire not only when we perform an action, but also when we observe someone else performing that same action. And these neurons allow us to mimic and mirror the emotions, actions, and experience of others. In this landscape of leadership, it's really important understanding the inner workings of the human brain and how it can illuminate the keys of effective communication and team dynamics. I suppose one fascinating aspect of neurobiology that holds particular relevance is the concept of the mirror neurons. Like I said before, these are specialized brain cells, not only fire when we perform an action, but also when we observe others. And mirror neurons really become powerful tools that enable leaders to forge deeper connections through empathetic responses. So understanding the mirror neurons. So they were discovered in the early 1990s. Again, really not that long ago in terms of science and how long we've been looking at it, but they represent a revolutionary aspect of neuroscience because these neurons allow us to mimic and mirror those emotions and actions of experience of others. My dog's feet on the floors again. Kills me, these wooden floors. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but kind of puts me off when I'm reading my script. Flossie. Shh. She's called Flossie for everybody. She's a border collie. Anyway, back to it. So they create like a bridge between personal experience and shared understanding. So in the context of leadership, mirror neurons play a pivotal role in fostering empathy, another cornerstone of effective leadership. So, empathetic responses in leadership. It is important because empathy is the ability, as we all know, to understand and share the feelings of one another. Or of another person as well. In the realm of leadership, empathetic responses are crucial for building strong relationships, fostering a positive work environment, and enhancing team cohesion. Mirror neurons enable leaders to go beyond merely acknowledging the emotions of the team members. They allow leaders to vigorously experience these emotions themselves. When a leader witnesses an employee's joy or even frustration, or even enthusiasm, it's the mirror neurons that can trigger a similar response in the leader, creating a profound empathetic connection. So the neurobiology of empathy, it's to delve deeper into the empathy facilitated by the mirror neurons. It's essential to understand the brain regions involved, right? So mirror neurons are primarily found in the premotor cortex, premotor, right? Remember that, the premotor cortex. I want to say motor because I've already said it. That's why I was getting it wrong. Premotor cortex, which is associated with planning and executing movements. So additionally, the insular and other parts of the cortex regions linked, I think you pronounce it insular and cingulate, cortex regions linked to emotional processing and self-awareness, because they play crucial roles in empathetic responses. So when mirror neurons are activated, these brain regions collaborate to create a shared emotional experience between the leader and their team members. So how do we enhance communication through the neurons? Well, effective communication is another important part where successful leadership takes place. Mirror neurons contribute significantly to the aspect by allowing leaders to tune into the emotional frequencies of their team, right? So by mirroring the expressions and emotions of others, leaders can convey understanding and validation, creating an open and supportive communication environment. So this in turn fosters trust, encourages team members to express their thoughts and concerns freely. It just creates that safe space, doesn't it? You know, building trust and connection, that's really, really important, because trust is a fundamental component of any successful team, and mirror neurons play a pivotal role in its establishment. And if you want to look at another episode that I've done, the trust and oxytocin, the release of oxytocin, that's a couple of episodes ago, but I'll put it in the links in the show notes if you want to make a quick route to that one after this one, if you've got time, that is. So when leaders demonstrate empathetic responses through activation of mirror neurons, it creates a sense of shared experience and understanding. Team members feel seen and heard, fostering a culture of trust and openness. This trust becomes the bedrock upon which effective collaboration and innovation can thrive. So the emotional contagion and positive leadership, well, that's the phenomenon of emotional contagion, wherein one person's emotion and moods affect those around them. Again, I've mentioned it before, when you go into a meeting, you come out stressed, it's probably because the leader's stressed, or the person whoever's conducting it, or even the person next to you. You know, it's closely tied there. It is closely tied to the mirror neurons. I bet you've never looked at it from that angle before, but take note going forward when you go to meetings or those type of scenarios. Have a think about it, how you respond yourself. So leaders, you know, who cultivate positive emotions through empathetic responses can positively influence the emotional atmosphere within the team environment. So, you know, by embodying enthusiasm, resilience, and optimism, and leaders can create that ripple effect, inspiring collective positive mindset that enhances overall team morale. But again, navigating those challenges, let's navigate those challenges through empathy, because leaders can often face challenges, as we know, and conflicts within their teams on a really regular basis. It's tough, especially when the bigger the place of work, it gets tougher for sure. So the empathetic responses facilitated by mirror neurons provide leaders with a nuanced understanding of the emotional undercurrents within their team. So by acknowledging and validating the diverse emotions present at the time, leaders can navigate challenges with a compassionate, and remember that's physically in that position to physically help, and collaborative approach, fostering a culture of mutual support and problem solving. You know, cultivating a supportive work environment is another really key part as well, because mirror neurons contribute not only to the individual interactions, but, you know, also to the overall culture of the workplace. Because leaders who consistently engage in consistently engage, you know, their own mirror neurons in empathetic responses contribute to the creation of a supportive work environment. I know some people that I come across really acknowledge how mindful their leader is, and the way they are talking about it as well. It's fairly obvious. You know, this environment categorized by understanding, collaboration, you know, what other ones? Shared emotional experiences, that's a good one, becomes a breeding ground for creativity, innovation, high performance outcomes. So again, it comes back to then leading with emotional intelligence, another episode I've worked on, because emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage one's emotions, including your own, and the emotions of others. It's another hallmark of effective leadership. Mirror neurons serve as a neurobiological foundation for emotional intelligence, allowing leaders to attune themselves to the emotional landscape of the team. Leaders who lead with emotional intelligence create a positive and inclusive work environment that nurtures the professional and personal growth of each team member. There's overcoming leadership challenges through empathy, touched on briefly, but leaders without it, sorry, I've got it wrong, but leaders, they just don't. They face challenges on a daily basis. Oh, sorry, I just kicked my table. It definitely goes without its challenges. And empathetic responses facilitated by mirror neurons can be definitely instrumental in overcoming obstacles, whether dealing with team conflicts, organizational changes, which can happen quite a lot and become quite stressful, or individual struggles. Leaders who harness the power of mirror neurons can navigate themselves and challenges with resilience and understanding. This not only, I suppose, strengthens the leader's relationship with the team, but it also fosters a culture of adaptability and collective problem solving. And it doesn't break the connection. It's really important that we don't break connection, especially through those difficult times as well. So in the intricate dance of leadership, the neuroscience of mirror neurons unveils a captivating dimension of empathy. By understanding and leveraging these specialized brain cells, leaders can forge deep connections and enhance communication and definitely build a positive and supportive work environment. The integration of mirror neuron-driven empathetic responses into the leadership practice not only cultivates trust and collaboration, but also propels teams towards unprecedented levels of success. Let's continue to explore the different aspects of neuroscience, because the synergy between empathy and mirror neurons stands as a testament to the transformative power of understanding, embracing the intricacies of the human brain in the pursuit of effective leadership. So there's also a non-verbal communication side of it. I call this bit the silent symphony of leadership. Because mirror neurons are non-verbal. Mirror neurons also have that side of the non-verbal communication. Effective communication goes beyond the spoken word. We never look at it from this side. So, let's think about the non-verbal cues, such as facial expressions, right? Body language. You bet you're like, oh yeah, of course, that makes sense. And tone of voice. They play such a pivotal role in conveying empathy and building strong connections with a team. Think of moments in meetings when somebody's spoken to you in a certain way and you reflect and they say, could have done it so much differently. You end up just leaving with a bit of taste in your mouth, don't you? You've all been there. I know you're all raising your eyes. I get it. One fascinating aspect, that enhances this nonverbal side of things is the involvement of the mirror neurons, because these specialized brain cells, as I mentioned before, they don't only fire when we perform, but they also when we observe others and aid in leaders in naturally synchronizing their non-verbal signals with those of their team members. So this silent part of it, silent part of the communication, it becomes a powerful tool in reinforcing the empathetic connection between leaders and the people that they're supposed to inspire. So let's look at the language of expression, right? Oh, man, I know what you're all thinking. Communication is definitely not just about words. It's about the integral dance of expression that accompanies our verbal messages. So leaders, as the conductors of this silent symphony, as I mentioned earlier, often rely on non-verbal cues to convey emotions, intentions, and understanding. So facial expressions with their many facets to facial expressions, let's say. They can communicate joy, concern, or reassurance. Body language through gestures and posture even can signal confidence, openness, and empathy. The tone of voice, which is a cadence and intonation, adds another layer of emotional depth to communication. So in the realm of leadership, mastering this non-verbal language is essential for fostering a culture of empathy and connection. Let's look at mirror neurons as the coach of dance. Imagine you're a coach of dancers. What do you call coaches of dancers? Choreographs? I can't even say that. There's always a word on an episode I can't say. You know what I mean. Look at us coaches dancers. I forgot the name of it, to be fair. Mirror neurons situated in the brain's premotor cortex, the coaches of this non-verbal ballet, let's say. When leaders observe the non-verbal cues of their team members, mirror neurons fire, creating a neural symphony that synchronizes the leader's non-verbal signals with those being expressed. So this natural synchronization not only enhances understanding, but also reinforces their empathetic connection between leaders and their teams once again. Facial expressions, I call it the windows of empathy, because facial expressions are potent tools in the leader's nonverbal weaponry selections, I suppose. A smile can go a long way, convey warmth and encouragement, while a furrowed brow may signal concern and attentiveness. You've seen that one before, haven't you, people? I know you do. I know you have. Mirror neurons enable leaders to instinctively mirror the facial expressions of their team members, creating a shared emotional experience. This can go both ways. This mirroring not only communicates empathy, but also fosters a sense of being understood, contributing to a positive and supporting team culture. Body language. It's another part of the unspoken language of leadership, because the language of the body speaks volumes in leadership. Leaders who are attuned to their team's body language can pick up on subtle cues that may go unspoken for a long time. Obviously, the deeper connection might bring out that discussion a lot sooner. But mirror neurons play that crucial role in this process, allowing leaders to naturally synchronize their own body language with that of their team members. So this synchronization fosters a sense of connection and alignment, breaking down barriers and promoting open communication within the team. Again, just getting to know people at a much deeper level breaks that barrier a lot quicker. But it's not about time. Sometimes it takes time, right? Don't rush it, because it's sensed. Otherwise, it's definitely picked up on. Tone of voice, again, the melody. Let's look at that side of the melody of leadership, right? So the tone of voice carries an emotional melody of the communication cycle. A gentle and reassuring tone can provide comfort. Well, an enthusiastic tone can be inspired motivation. Mirror neurons, ever the vigilant observers, ensure that the leaders automatically adjust their tone to resonate with the emotional cues of their team members. This harmonious alignment enhances the impact of the leader's words, creating a communication environment where empathy is not just heard, but it's felt. Building trust through nonverbal synchronization. Again, another factor. Trust is, definitely another important aspect of effective leadership, and the nonverbal synchronization, again, facilitated by the mirror neurons. When leaders authentically mirror the nonverbal cues of the team members, it sends a powerful signal of validation and understanding again, just as the verbal ones do. It builds trust by creating an environment where team members feel seen and heard on a deeper non-verbal level. And then as trust grows, so does the foundation for all those things I mentioned. Again, collaboration, innovation, and high-performing outcomes. So in a team facing a challenging project deadline, a leader who mirrors the team's body language of determination and communicates solidarity and shared commitment. In a moment of celebration for a success project, A leader who mirrors the team's expression of joy and accomplishment amplifies the collective sense of achievement. These real-life scenarios highlight how mirror neurons, acting as silent collaborators, enhance the leader's ability to express empathy through non-verbal cues. How do we? There's overcoming of communication challenges as well. So again, it doesn't go without its communication challenges. The challenges to every layer to this, and non-verbal synchronization can be a powerful tool in overcoming them. In situations where verbal communication may fall short, leaders can rely on their ability to mirror the non-verbal cues of their team members to bridge the gap. Whether navigating cultural differences, addressing sensitive topics, or resolving conflicts, the silent symphony of nonverbal communication, guided by those brain cells, provides leaders with an empathetic approach to overcoming those communication challenges. So then there's an aspect which we've not touched on really today is self-awareness, because effective non-verbal communication and empathetic synchronization requires a heightened level of self-awareness from leaders. This is really important to self-reflect on, understanding one's own non-verbal cues and being mindful of how they may be perceived, right? This is important. How they may be perceived by others is a crucial aspect of leadership development. Mirror neurons in the bidirectional nature not only respond to external cues, but also play a role in self-reflection. Leaders who cultivate self-awareness can harness the power of the mirror neurons to refine and adapt their own non-verbal communication for maximum impact. So how do we cultivate a non-verbal culture of empathy? Well, I suppose as leaders, we all have to recognize the profound influence of nonverbal communication through, the team dynamics. Cultivating a team of empathy becomes a strategic importance, right? So this involves not only individual leaders embracing nonverbal synchronization, but also fostering an organizational environment that values and prioritizes empathetic communication. So, workshop training programs and leadership development initiatives that emphasize the importance of nonverbal cues can communicate and contribute to a workplace culture where empathy is embedded in the very fabric of communication. So where words alone can only convey so much, because I know what you're probably thinking, nonverbal communication emerges as a powerful channel for expressing empathy and building meaningful connections. The role of mirror neurons in naturally synchronizing leaders' nonverbal cues with those of their team members adds a neurobiological layer to its integral dance. So as leaders master the silent language of facial expressions and body language and tone of voice, it's guided by the coach, the group of those mirror neurons. They unlock the potential to create a workplace culture where empathy is not a virtue, but a lived experience. That is the key, that bit, because we stop a lot earlier. Right? How many times do you experience that where they stop a lot early and don't take it that far, that depth, right? So leaders and teams find harmony and understanding and make it a shared journey towards the long-term success. Right, so empathetic learning. The empathetic leadership blueprint is what I call it. Mirror neurons and the power of observation, right? So, it is the dynamic realm of leadership. I was trying to think how to put it. It's the ability to emphasize stands as a linchpin for effective communication, collaboration, and team cohesion. Within the intricate tapestry of empathy, mirror neurons emerge as silent architects, shaping leaders' capacity to connect with their teams on a deep, profound level, right? So beyond merely mirroring emotions, these specialized brain cells play a pivotal role in facilitating empathetic learning through observation. We unravel the intricate dance between mirror neurons and empathetic leadership delving into how leaders can harness the power of observation to cultivate a culture of empathy within their organizations. So understanding mirror neurons and empathy, right? So it's the brain's subtle maestros, fire not only when we perform an action, we see it in others as well, as mentioned before. So it's the unique capability which allows leaders to vigorously experience the emotions and reactions of their team members. When a leader witnesses joy, frustration, or enthusiasm in an employee, they get triggered a parallel emotional response in the leader, creating a bridge shared again between it all. So leaders often rely on non-verbal cues, facial expressions and the ones I mentioned before, to help convey empathy. The seamless integration of mirror neurons into this non-verbal communication dance enables leaders to naturally collect and organize their signals with those of their team members. When a leader mirrors the non-verbal cues of their team, it reinforces that empathetic connection, again, as I mentioned before. This unspoken language driven by mirror neurons transcends verbal communication, fostering an environment where emotions are understood, acknowledged, and reciprocated. So in the orchestra of empathetic leadership, that word synchronization that I've used a lot, it plays a crucial role because the mirror neurons act as the conductors, if you will, ensuring that leaders and team members are in tune with each other's emotional frequencies. Because this synchronization goes beyond verbal and explicit communication, creating a silent yet potent channel for understanding and that connection that I love to reiterate. So as leaders consciously engage their mirror neurons, because if we're conscious about it, we can start to think about it in the conscious sense. They become adept to recognizing and mirroring the subtle nuances of the team's emotional expressions, strengthening the empathetic bond. So you can learn through observations, right? You can look at empathy through observations. Mirror neurons extend their influence beyond mirroring emotions in real time. They also facilitate empathetic learning through observation, right? Sit back and watch. Simple. Leaders who model empathetic behavior serve as living examples for their teams. Lead yourself before you try and lead others. It's where it begins, the self. That's the first module of the program when I get it out there. As team members observe their leaders navigating challenges with empathy, actively listening and demonstrating understanding, mirror neurons in the observer's brain are activating, encoding these empathetic responses as a learned behavior. So leaders as empathetic role models, that's what you become. So in the realm of leadership, actions often speak louder than words. You've heard that all saying before. It's an old one. Leaders who embody empathy through their actions become powerful role models for their teams. Because I think when we look at leaders, we automatically assume them as our role models most of the time. I know I did when I first started in my career. I just put trust in that word leader or boss straight away. And sometimes they're probably suffering or scared or not sure how to handle situations, right? Because leaders who embody empathy through their actions, they become powerful role models, right? Whether it's acknowledging the efforts of team members, showing understanding during difficult times, or celebrating successes, these empathetic leaders set the tone for a culture where empathy is not just a concept, but a lived experience, as I mentioned before. It's really important that we say that again, because cultivating a culture of empathy, right? It's the impact of empathetic learning through observation, because it extends beyond the individual leaders to shape the organizational culture. When leaders consistently model empathetic behavior, it creates a ripple effect that goes through the entire team and organization. This cultural shift is not about implementing policies or procedures. It's about, I'm sick of policies and procedures. It's about ingraining empathy as a fundamental aspect of how people interact and collaborate. So let's look at empathy as a team building tool, right? Teams are the heartbeat of any organization, not the product, the teams. And empathy serves as a potent tool for building cohesive and high-performing teams. Through empathetic learning, team members acquire not only the skills, but also the mindset of understanding and supporting each other. Leaders who encourage this empathetic exchange create a team culture where collaboration flourishes, conflicts are resolved constructively, keeping the connection when that happens, and individuals feel valued for their unique contributions. So again, overcoming challenges through the learning of empathy. Leadership, it's not immune to its challenges. We know that. The learning through observation equips teams to navigate obstacles with resilience and unity. When team members witness their leaders approaching challenges with empathy, understanding diverse perspectives and seeking solutions and providing support, mirror neurons encode these patterns, fostering a collective approach to overcoming adversity. There's a neuroscience side of empathetic learning, because as we delve into neuroscience of empathetic learning, it reveals the intricate dance between the neurons and the brain's plasticity, the rewiring of the brain. The brain shaped by experiences. If you think positive, you tend to attract it. If you think on the dark side, or the glass half empty, you tend to attract that as well, right? So through its shared experience, it adapts and rewires, as I mentioned, right? So neuroplasticity highlights the potential for lasting change. Again, I've done an episode on it. Leaders constantly model empathetic behavior. Those that do, they contribute to the rewiring of their team members' brains. I bet you've experienced it. Think consciously of it. Or, yeah, just think about that for a moment, because I've seen it. Now I'm doing this and I look back and reflect, I've seen it. And I know. Because championing the diversity of inclusion, empathetic learning through observation plays a pivotal role in championing diversity and inclusion with organizations. So when leaders exhibit empathy towards diverse experiences and perspectives, it sets a precedent for an inclusive culture. Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, for sure. Team members observing and internalizing these empathetic responses. Sometimes I have a struggle with that word. They become more open-minded and accepting of differences. Modeling is so important. It contributes to a workplace where everyone feels heard, respected, and valued. There's a journey of continuous improvement as well, because empathetic learning through observation is not a destination like everything else I've mentioned. It's a journey of just constantly improving and thinking about how you learn. Leaders must remain attuned to the evolving needs and dynamics of their teams, because that constantly changes as well, even just based on their own personal life, because that's an invisible blanket. You don't see what goes on at home. Sometimes we don't open up as well. And that's why we've got to have perspective. Because that's where you have to adapt their own empathetic responses accordingly, right? So, the process of observation, learning, and adjustment contributes to the ongoing development of resilience and empathetic organizational culture. Mirror neurons, they weave a narrative of connection and understanding. The power of observation, facilitated by these silent brain cells, enables, because you don't see what goes on behind the brain, do you? You just don't even think about it, but that's why we need to do it, and that's why I'm doing it. They enable the leaders to model empathetic behavior, fostering a culture of empathy within the organizations. That's something I think we definitely need more of, because as leaders consciously engage their own mirror neurons, they synchronize their nonverbal communication within the teams, creating a rich shared emotional experiences. Empathetic learning journey extends beyond individuals to shape the very fabric of the organizational culture, laying the foundation for cohesive teams, effective collaboration, and enduring success. So yeah, as you know, empathy as a learned through the dance of mirror neurons and observation emerges not just as leadership as a leadership trait, but as a transformative force that propels individuals and organizations toward greater heights of collective achievement and fulfillment. So empathy, when wielded as a cornerstone of leadership, it transformed the dynamics of the workplace. Leaders who recognize the profound impact of empathy and understand the role of mirror neurons in facilitating empathetic responses are poised to create enduring connections, build that trust, and inspire to reach new heights every day. This empathetic leadership approach transcends conventional management strategies, not only enhancing individual and team well-being, but also significantly contributing to the overall success and resilience of the place of work. Thinking of that infinite mindset. So at its core, empathetic leadership acknowledges the humanity, leading with the feel of the game within each team member. By embracing empathy, leaders tap into the intricate workings of mirror neurons, specialized cells that play a very vital role in mirroring emotions and experiences. These neurons enables leaders to not only understand their team members, but also to, again, experience their joys and the frustrations and the aspirations. It's a shared emotional connection, and it establishes a foundation of trust, allowing, far more meaningful and authentic interactions in the workplace. I've mentioned it before. People used to say, I've not come to work to make friends. Why on earth not? You spend more time with them than you do at home, right? So the empathetic leader leverages nonverbal cues such as facial expressions, body language, and so on that I mentioned before. It just builds that understanding and support. Mirror neurons play that pivotal role in this process, naturally synchronizing the leader's non-verbal signals with those of their team members. It reinforces this empathetic connection, creating such a positive, well-rounded environment. It makes the individuals feel seen and heard even more. So furthermore, empathetic learning, facilitated by mirror neurons, becomes a powerful tool in empathetic leaders' repertoire. I think that's a good word. So leaders still model empathetic behavior, set a precedent for your teams, and inspire a culture of empathy within the place of work. Through observation and emulation, team members learn to navigate challenges with compassion, communicate effectively, and foster a collaborative and inclusive atmosphere. So in the broader context of organizational success, the impact of empathetic leadership is far-reaching. A positive and supportive work environment cultivated through empathetic responses becomes a breeding ground for innovation, creativity, and high-performance outcomes. Team members are more likely to be engaged, motivated, and invested in their own work when they feel a genuine connection with their leaders. This heightened sense of commitment translates into increased productivity, reduced turnover. That's a big sign usually, and it enhances overall job satisfaction. And that brings into happiness, right? Those three things that I mentioned before are involved in happiness: enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. Yeah. So moreover, coming towards the end, empathetic leaders, they're adept at navigating. They're an expert in navigating the complexity of interpersonal relationship and team dynamics. They recognize and address the diverse needs of their team members, fostering a sense of belonging and inclusivity. Just because somebody doesn't fit into your realm doesn't mean we just get rid of them. Sit, work with them, pull it around, turn it around. You can always do that. You can always do it. This inclusive leadership style, it promotes a diversity of thought and encourages different perspectives. I want you to think about that one deep. Make sure you do. It leads to more robust problem solving and helps make better decisions in that process as well. As organizations grapple with an ever-evolving landscape, the resilience fostered by empathetic leadership becomes a strategic advantage. Teams led by empathetic leaders are more adaptable and better equipped to handle challenges and uncertainties. The empathetic leader's ability to acknowledge and respond to the emotions of the team members creates a culture of psychological safety, where individuals feel comfortable taking risks, expressing their ideas and contributing to the organizational growth. Comment and message me once again. Have you ever felt sick? That's your fight and flight response kicking in. That's your nervous system's kicking in. So coming to the end, empathetic leaders guided by an understanding of mirror neurons and their role in empathetic responses is a transformative force in the realm of organizational success. Leaders who prioritize empathy create environments where trust flourishes, connections deepen, and teams are inspired to excel. The leadership approach not only enhances the well-being of individuals and teams, but also fortifies the organization's resilience, positioning for it to be sustained success in an ever-changing world. I won't keep you for much longer, but next week, let me have a quick look at what we're doing next week. I'm excited about that one. Ooh, change of management. Yes, love. Coming towards the end of the neuroscience series. I can't wait to get onto the victim side of things. Tuning to leading our own way. I hope you come back for more. People are going to come in the door now and disturb the recording. So I am going to end the conversation. There you go, you see. And my dog's barking at the door. Have a great day, everybody. Come back for more. Leave comments. Take care. All the best from me, Andy, here at Nurturing Leadership. Have a great day, and I hope you get inspired today. Thank you for tuning into our Nurturing Leadership podcast, where we delve into the art of compassionate guidance and fostering growth. Your continued support is invaluable to us, so please subscribe and follow us on all your favorite platforms. We are currently on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Remember, great leadership starts with nurturing. Nurturing leadership creates lasting impact. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes filled with insightful discussions. We appreciate you joining on this journey. Thank you for listening.